Hi, this is Tammy Repi, and I'm a finance and loan analyst with Headquarters Single Family Housing Direct Loan Division. And today I wanted to show you a quick tutorial on how to read the 24 report and also what to look for in that report as far as red flags that you may want to further investigate in your state. So first of all, if you're on the SharePoint site, you want to select the reports folder from the main page, and then that'll pull up the list of monthly reports that are posted. The first one is the 24 report, which you'll open up, select the fiscal year you want to view, and then select the month that was recently posted. Once the report opens, it's quite long, 166 pages. It's all the states in alphabetical order. And so let's just take a look at the first state here and kind of just go through some information. So it's called the 24 report because it's looking at both your first year loan and your second year loan delinquency rates. It shows your loan count for those years, how many loans are delinquent, what your target was, and then shows your state delinquency rate as compared to the national average. The goal is to be under those national averages, so the report will tell you whether or not that goal has been met for the month. And then it also talks about the percent of the national portfolio in your ranking amongst the states. The report period performance history is outlined here, so you can go back for the last year and kind of look at whether you've met those goals or not. And then that same information is charted here in this analysis. If you scroll down a little bit further, you can then look at loan performance by the servicing county, which is basically the office that's set up. So you've got the listing of how many first year loans, how many of those are delinquent, and the delinquency rate. So some red flags to look for is if you've got really high rates in some areas, you may want to investigate and say, what's happening there. Although, for instance, on this particular one, there's only one delinquent loan. So the reason the percentage is high is because the volume is lower for that particular area. So one delinquent loan may not necessarily be that there's a trend. But those are the things to kind of look for. The other thing is, if you have a first year delinquency rate that's always 0% and you have a high number of loans being made, it might be that there's not enough risk being taken with those underwriting because we're only selecting, the very best loans and never making any exceptions. So it's always a balancing act when you're looking at this. But the first year delinquency rate does often tell you if we're taking too much or not enough risk. The same information is presented for the second year loan, and then is report month for REO and the numbers there, and then prior year's REOs and how many number of days those have been on hand. And then the report breaks it down even further, and you can look at performance by loan approval official. So this will help you see not only volumes of loans being processed by loan approval official, but how many of those loans are delinquent. So if you're seeing one particular loan officer who has a high delinquency rate all the time, that might be an indication that they're taking too much risk in their loan analysis. It's not always indicating that, because sometimes you make a perfectly good loan, but the processing plant in your town closes and everyone is out of work. So it really doesn't necessarily say this is a bad loan. It just means it's a red flag that you may need to look into a little bit further. It might be that you want to look at some of these loans for your 6B loan quality review, or you might want to just do some spot checking. And then lastly, the report breaks it down for you by account number. So this first is by office, by loan approval official, and then by the actual account number. So if you wanted to look up that specific account in Unify or MortgageServe, you could certainly do that. And that is the report in a nutshell. You should be checking this every month. and checking in with your offices where you're seeing red flags and maybe inquiring a little bit and getting some more information. It's a good way when you pull in those files to potentially look at training needs. Perhaps too much risk is being taken and you need to talk about, looking at the big picture of all the risk levels, or it could be that not enough risk is being taken and you want to look at, where potentially waivers or exception authorities could be granted. So that's the report. Make sure you're taking a look at it, and thanks for joining today.